Alright guys, Tactical Bit here again today, and I hope you're having a great Monday. Don't usually say that, but I thought, why not? It's a nice thing to say, and if you're not having a great Monday, then hopefully this video may improve it at least to some small degree. So today we're going to be talking through this Gunless versus the desk drama, and also the potential of accuracy getting dropped off this Splice team, along with some other things along the way that we'll go through. So yeah, like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always. As you can see, the scenery has changed in the background. I'm home for a few days, and great stuff really. Also, one thing to note, yesterday YouTube was messing up, as I'm sure a lot of you guys were aware. Thankfully, eventually, yesterday's video got into a lot of your guys' sub boxes, but if it didn't for whatever reason, in the first hour it was up, it had like 200 views or something tragic. YouTube was like, completely screwing me over, but it worked out in the end. And yeah, so if you haven't seen it yet, I'll link it down below. If you have, then excellent job. I thought it was pretty decent, but there wasn't much to talk about yesterday, so you didn't really miss much. Today, there is a fair bit to talk about, so let's get right into it. So firstly, Gunless versus the desk, I guess you could say. So he tweets the following: League of Legends analyst, because there was a League of Legends tournament going on. I think it was ESL in Birmingham, so pretty close to me. Maybe it was a different one, but anyway. League of Legends analysts not making assumptions. Wow, must be nice to have that. Obviously implying that the desk in Call of Duty, the analyst desk, making a lot of assumptions. He then says the following: imagine speaking on a situation that you don't have all the facts to, and then proceeding to lie. Simply could not be me, Joey Nubsy. Okay, interesting. Now, Nameless replies with this: what assumptions are you subtweeting me about? Explain, please. Obviously, looking at Gunless, thinking that he's the one that is being subtweeted, not necessarily Pac-Man or Study for whatever reason that are on the desk. So, supposedly what this is about is because LG have had their whole thing in the last couple of weeks before they started playing again in the league. Gunless went to an EDC concert at the weekend, supposedly, and I think what he's referring to is the desk saying that he wasn't there for practice in time, I think is what he's going for. I don't have an exact clip of this, unfortunately. There's a lot of games in which they could have talked about it. I may have watched it at the time, but you know, I'm not 100% sure on the exact clip he's referring to, so I don't want to say it for sure. But Joey Nubsy tweets this following image out, and Gunless retweeted it, saying that, well, the caption effectively of this tweet was that, well, when Gunless supposedly wasn't at scrims, at just when Hot Mic finished at like 5:48 or something Eastern time, then he was actually in the vicinity because it was 4:35. He got an Uber to Columbus, I think is what this is trying to say, to the arena. So supposedly the desk said that he wasn't there on time, but in fact, this apparently shows that he was there on time and either was scrimming with the team or the team decided not to scrim with him. I'm not exactly sure. Bit of a complex situation, but I think that's what they're going for. So this is the response on Reddit from Nameless. So this is what he says. Now, I know that a lot of, you know, the Gunless situation behind the scenes is very interesting right now. Apparently, a lot of the players are not getting on with him particularly well, especially within his own team. So anyway, this is what Nameless has to say. We made no assumptions. Before the first match Monday after the weekend of the EDC, he went to this concert. We spoke to his teammates and they said they don't know where he is. We went on the desk and reiterated that. We explained how his teammates weren't aware of his current whereabouts and how they were screwing with Ricky in preparation of him not being there. They didn't know if he made it into Columbus after EDC. He's legitimately lying to the timeline, saying that we made assumptions. If we did, why did no one on LG say anything the day of? I find it very weird. Also, why would he not reply to any of my tweets, which he didn't reply, or say anything in person after we said it on the same day? It's only weeks later and he will only address it via Twitter. He is claiming we made an assumption when we literally spoke to his team and stated their exact words. I'm not sure how many times I have to say it, but the blatant disrespect being thrown at us here after I provided exact details of what happened is mind-blowing. Also, if he was talking about the Aches thing, which is where Nameless talked about whether Aches on the ICR, etc., etc., Aches was mad I made an assumption about a role change. I don't watch scrims or know what the team discussions are like. I also said I don't care if Farah wanted an ICR and I disagree with the swap, etc, etc, etc. Please use your brains when throwing out unnecessary hate. Now, you don't have to like Nameless, but I do feel like he's probably on the right side of the argument in this case, just because of the Gunless situation. He's, as Nameless says, he calls it out on Twitter but won't do it in real life. He won't reply to any of Nameless's tweets. And if his teammates were indeed saying they didn't know where he was, then what does this alibi really mean? Of course, it's a real back and forth. It's one man's word against another in this case. But of course, it's very interesting. I'm sure you'll have your thoughts on this down in the comment section below. Of course, the other thing to talk about with Gunless is where exactly he goes next, because he doesn't look likely right now that he's going to be back on Luminosity anytime soon, and he's too good of a player not to get picked up elsewhere, surely. Yesterday, I mentioned the possibility that Splice may be considering Gunless. That may have been what Marty, the co-founder, was talking about when he was talking about roster moves and 7 hours on the phone talking about roster changes. However, it may be something a lot more closer to home than that. In which case, we have this from Accuracy. A series of unfortunate events tweeted a couple of days ago, and then he says the following: just yesterday, back to Cali I go, my brothers. Now, it's been rumoured for a little bit. He's also taken out of his bio who he's playing for. It just says professional player for question mark here, so of course very interesting. He does also like this tweet, Accuracy winning a chip with LG, so of course there's some rumours being floating around that maybe he'll end up on LG, but exactly who he's going to be replacing, surely you can't. Actually, maybe you could try and replace Gunless and then have Formal on the Maddox full time. Obviously, it's interesting. Doesn't seem like an upgrade by any means, but in terms of the vibes, I guess it would be a lot better. Obviously, that's a way off though, because the roster changes can only happen post Anaheim, which starts the roster change period starts on the 17th. Anaheim itself starts on the 14th. So yes, a very interesting turn of events. Now, this image is from the Call of Duty website, where a fair while ago people started noticing that Nolson was listed as Splice's substitute, which is very interesting because they never formally announced this at all. Their substitute earlier in the season was a guy called Happy, OP Suda, I think, and I think they just brought him in because they were kind of friends with him. A lot of these teams hadn't had experience bringing in substitutes before, didn't think they'd need it, just calling a friend that used to play well, I really remember the name Happy from like Infinite Warfare Black Ops 3 time. But from the start of, well, a couple of months ago, Nolson was listed as their sub. And people were thinking, is this some sort of mistake? What exactly is going on here? Of course, their coach is Marky B. And he's a lot of experience in the European scene, so is Jerd, of course. So I'm sure they kind of understand that Nolson is a very, very talented player. He was on the Team Sweden squad earlier in the season that nearly made it into the Pro League and came top 6 at Vegas. He was also on that Hyper Games team a couple of years ago. Definitely a very solid talent with the Maddox or the ICR in his hands. And he's going to be using the Maddox, it does seem, on this Splice team. We're going to be talking about exactly how this change goes down in just a second here. Now, of course, we're not 100% sure if that's exactly how it's going, but we do have the following from Josh. I talked about it yesterday, how the B-Sport roster with Cammy, Weeman, Defrag, and of course B-Sport Josh himself came second at the CWL London in the open bracket. They had Nolson on their team, and now they're bringing in Dave. Good luck to my son Nolson in what's next for him. And Dave says the following: trying to get my Maddox back into business, because Nolson was the Maddox on this team and Weeman was the ICR. So exactly how is it going to work here on this potential Splice team, as we can see here? So we don't know exactly what's going down. Hasn't been confirmed as of yet. Maybe it'll be confirmed later today after this video goes live. Hopefully it won't be out of date too early. Supposedly, Accuracy is going to be off the team, and Aqua wants to use the ICR and move into that ICR role. Not sure that's 100% true, but if Aqua does want to try out the ICR, it would make sense, with Nolson having used the Maddox on this previous team. Very talented player, of course. It's interesting. Nolson hasn't had the experience to play on a team like this before, of this higher caliber, but it definitely makes sense as a change. Accuracy has probably been, if there's any one of this team that you're going to change out, it's not going to be Temp at all. It's not going to be Jerd, because you're not really going to get a better SMG player than him to go alongside Temp, I don't think, at the current time. Looney's been playing very, very well and tends to be the glue to a team like this. And then you've got Aqua or Accuracy that you could potentially get rid of, or at least put on the bench for the time being. Interesting for sure. Aqua and Accuracy both haven't been playing particularly well. I feel like Aqua's Search and Destroy has probably been slightly stronger. And yes, Accuracy in terms of being the best main AR in the league, he's not particularly close to that. So of course, if Aqua wants to try it out, Aqua, I would say, is probably a more talented player overall than Accuracy is. So I guess this makes sense as a change if they are going to go forward with it. And yes, bringing in Nolson in that Maddox role with Aqua on the ICR should be a pretty cool change to see, and I think it should be an upgrade on paper. I really like the sound of that, to be honest. If Aqua can get back to that kind of form, and obviously there may be external reasons or other reasons why Accuracy may be getting removed off the team outside of just ability, but of course I'm not one to suggest anything is going on there. So of course this is very interesting. Be interested to hear your thoughts on this down in the comment section below, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow if it does get officially confirmed. Not confirmed as yet, but I would say it's relatively likely. And then of course after Anaheim goes down, depending on how well this team does, we may be seeing some further changes. And of course Gunless and Looney had a lot of success last year on World War II, on Rise Nation, winning 3 events together. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that's on their radar, but of course nothing can be certified for now. So VeerSing99, who's the new Richtofen of Reddit, he says, has to be their sub Nolson, if anything, given the next roster change period is post Anaheim. One of the senior members on Splice was on about sending 7-8. Okay, that's what I was talking about with Marty. So he says, edit, biggest news out of this for me is that Gunless is almost certainly going to Splice. Accuracy says, wrong, my brother man. And, okay, So, okay, what exactly is he referring to here? Is he talking about has to be their sub Nolson, if anything? Is he talking about that being wrong? Or is he talking about Gunless going to Splice is certainly wrong as well? So, I don't know, but of course that's something that is up in the air at the current time. Moving onwards here, before we end the video, I wanted to say the following from ScrapsEG. It will be streaming and playing for the Hex quarters for the next few days, thanks to the GOAT. So, interesting, of course, FaZe Clan, they've just got a house, but Zero was talking about on Spitfire, which was on EGL a couple of days ago. I was on that with Tunny, Brycey, Zero, and myself. If you want to check that out, I'll leave that links down below if you haven't seen it yet. Pretty insightful podcast. I thought Zero said a lot of things that were very interesting, and he talked about how they were just moving into a team house that FaZe had got sorted for them because he was currently living in an apartment. Seems like Scraps isn't necessarily going to be there. We did talk about team houses on the podcast for a little bit and said how, you know, team houses aren't necessarily the best things for chemistry because let's say you have a really bad session of scrims, you go downstairs to make food and all you guys are there and, you know, you can't get any of your own personal time, I guess. But anyway, seems like Scraps, for whatever reason, is at the Hex quarters, which is the place that Hex bought to be, on the podcast with Hitch, he talked about how the situation that Infinite had tried to set them up with was just horrible. So Hex had decided to invest in this other place, which is where they held the bootcamp scrims pre-Fort Worth, I think, with 100 Thieves and Optic Gaming. So Scraps is going to be there. Whether we're going to get an eavesdrop podcast with Scraps on the sidelines is going to be obviously an exciting precedent. Scraps is a very entertaining guy, very interesting career. I think he just turned 22 along with his brother Wiskin, so still a very young guy, but you know, he's still, I guess, waiting his first event win, which I'm sure will come within the next couple of years because he's way too talented not to, surely. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave all your thoughts on this down in the comment section below, as I'm sure you will. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new as always. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time.
Yeah, I'll go.
One right side, I'll hop up.
Yeah, left side on me.
I didn't see the guy left side anymore.
I think he ran out of the files.
Oh, I shot nothing.
Oh no, he pushed me. Wow, good shots. Fucking hell, he's pushing down the stairs.
Get on your own. Bring this home.
Oh, God.
So easy. Wow, that's fucking nice.
Keep up the pressure. Break them down.
That nice.
Yeah, baby.
I need to order myself a strike pack so that I can do that.
That's what I'm talking about. I still punch with circle, but
Protect the objective.
Alright.
yeah. It's quick on the draw, baby. But yeah, I slide with the freaking paddle or whatever.
Top left mid.
Pushing up outskirts of B. Nothing lower B right now. I heard one go in the water at B. You may have got timing me. I got one beaten, another one here. Oh, I'm gonna die.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
We can stay alive.
Oh my god, I just outplayed him. He will drop down to the water, this guy. Somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but I'm backing up here.
Usually just
I'm
camping
really scared.
everywhere. I don't really have anything.
Yeah, all good. I'm
Yeah,
backing up all the way to our spawn here. The water guy could be like anywhere. I'm just hiding the water right now.
He checked this corner. What? They're both left side mid. What kind of a play was that? Yeah, they both just ran
side
back.
mid. I think he went towards B, it looked like.
Okay, do you want to go through mid to B then?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
You might meet them here, like they're not gonna be that quick.
Bouncing. Dead. Oh. Close.
Challenge, close up.
Left. Nice. Good shit.
God, what an awkward round.